Bodie,
Here.
Cacciatore,
Here.
Montgomery,
Here.
Kroll,
Here.
Rosendahl.
Here. Please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Urbandale's a national leader in character counts, endeavoring at all times to promote and model the principles of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. In conducting tonight's meeting, we expect that all participants will act in a respectful manner consistent with these principles. Item 2 is approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Some.
Second.
Roll, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. No, it is amended, yeah. That passes. Item 3, we have several presentations. First is the presentation of the CLIA accreditation for our police department. So I'm going to ask Chief Rob Johansson to come up. So Chief, if you can come up, but I'd give a little background to folks, and then I'd like to, we're going to make a presentation here, so. Yep.
There we go. So I asked the mayor to present us with our CLIA accreditation award tonight, as he was there back in 2013 when we received our first accreditation award down in Winston-Salem. So this is our fourth accreditation award through CLIA. And basically what it is we meet a set of standards, law enforcement standards. There's 464 standards that we meet that are basically the best way to do business in law enforcement. And it's a challenging process because you can't just say that you're doing these things, you have to prove it. And we're audited every year of the cycle, and then we have an on-site assessment where an assessor actually comes to the police department and interviews people in our community, talks to them about the police department and the job that we do, and then obviously reviews all of our files to make sure that we have compliance of all the standards that we say we're meeting. So we passed that with flying colors. The assessor is a long-time assessor for CLIA, and he actually told us in his exit interview that we were one of the top 2 agencies that he's ever visited. So we were very proud of that as well. But with me tonight is Meredith Sawyer. I always said Sawyer, and I'm like, she corrected me on that. But she is our CLIA accreditation manager, and what she does is make sure that we get everything done, and then she organizes all the files in the assessment so that they're easy to go through for the assessor, and it's easy to see that we're meeting the standards. She also reminds everybody when a report's due and those types of things, and just keeps us up to speed every year, and coordinates with the annual assessment and then with the on-site assessment when they come out. So very thankful for her. She did an excellent job, and it showed in our review.
What the chief didn't say was in 2013, Lieutenant Johansson was in charge of accreditation, and we did the initial one. So I was proud to be with him, and when he ran that for the initial time, which was obviously the first time around is probably a lot harder. Not saying it isn't.
It was very difficult the first time around. I had to draft all the policies from scratch, and just kind of to get it up off the ground, it took a lot of work. So it was difficult the first time around as well. So yeah, so just a little bit of some data. We're one of 11 agencies in Iowa that are accredited through CLIA, and we're only one of 3 that do the advanced accreditation. There is a standard accreditation that does about 180 standards, and we do the 464, so a much bigger ask of the department to get that done. So nationwide, there's only 4% of the agencies, law enforcement agencies nationwide, that are accredited, so exclusive club.
So yeah. Congratulations to UVD. Let's get around.
get to, yeah.
We need the desk to rise up and rise down.
I thought I could sneak in.
All right. All right, and now we have another special presentation that we're going to present the oath of office to several of our firefighters. So I'm going to introduce Assistant Chief Bingham to introduce the folks that are going to be sworn in, and we'll conduct the swearing in. So, Chief?
Apologies here. All right. Good evening, Mayor Andweg, members of the council, distinguished guests, family, and friends. It's my honor to welcome you all to this special occasion as we celebrate the badge pinning of our newest firefighters who have completed the first part of their probation process. Your presence here underscores the importance of this milestone and your continued support of the Urbandale Fire Department. This time I'd like to bring forward firefighter paramedic Daniel Howson, firefighter paramedic Trenton Swartwood, firefighter paramedic Oscar Cruz, and firefighter EMT Jacob Schiller, along with who will be pinning their badges. Actually, I think if you want to just do all four of them at the same time.
Okay.
Are you good with that?
Sure.
That way you don't have to do individually. Here's your badge. You guys want to stand over there so everybody can get pictures while you're being pinned? Hopefully you don't get both. All right. You guys go ahead and pin, and then,
We'll do this one.
yep. While they're being pinned, each of these individuals have worked with their officers and crews to complete what we call the technical competence, the first 6 months phase of the Urbandale Fire Department Red Book, which is our orientation book. This is about a roughly 6-month process to complete with the crew, which includes emergency vehicle operations training, with the ambulance completing checkoffs and EMS skills, demonstrating proficiency in firefighter skills, including engine company operations, ladder company operations, and rapid intervention. Okay. You guys want?
I,
I, Trent Swartwood,
do solemnly pledge
do solemnly pledge
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of firefighter EMT
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of firefighter EMT
for the Urbandale Fire Department.
for the Urbandale Fire Department.
I swear to support the Constitution of the United States
I swear to support the Constitution of the United States
and the laws of the state
and the laws of the state
and the city of Urbandale.
and the city of Urbandale.
I swear to uphold the values
I swear to uphold the values
of the city and the department,
of the city and of the department,
placing above all else
placing above all else
our mission to preserve life,
our mission to preserve life,
protect property,
protect property,
and promote safety
and promote safety
for the community and my fellow firefighters.
for the community and my fellow firefighters.
Congratulations. Everybody to sign here, and I will sign.
You can bring them by one for Chief to sign since he's not here. Do I need to drop a check off at the office? Yes. Okay, great. That's good. Take that with you, Swartwood. Here's with you.
I want to thank all the family and friends that are here to support them tonight too. So, obviously you had folks coming up here to pin our new firefighters, so thank you. Thank you for being their support system, because they're gonna need your help. There are gonna be some good days and bad days on this job, so.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being their support, especially during those bad days. So, let's give them another round of applause. All right, with that, how do you top that, Tiffany? I don't know how you can top that, so. With that, we're gonna have an update from the Greater Des Moines Partnership, and I want to introduce Tiffany Toshek and Stacy Levon from the partnership, so.
Hi, Mayor and members of council as well as staff. What a fun night to be here. Thank you for the invitation back and to see so many great reasons to celebrate, including I hear there's a birthday, so happy birthday. I'm Tiffany Tauschek. I'm the president and CEO of the Greater Des Moines Partnership, and also I started my day in a meeting with Mayor, and I'm ending the day with a meeting with Mayor.
7:30
so
this morning and
that's
7 o'clock, yeah.
That's right. So
Except it's a little cooler this morning, it's 7 o'clock.
yeah, no
7:30.
kidding. It's a heat wave right now, 9
Yeah,
degrees.
yeah.
We'll take it. Okay, I'd like to also quickly introduce my colleagues that are here joining us tonight. First, Stacy.
Stacy Levine, Senior Vice President of Economic Development.
And also we have with us Alex Lynch. Alex, if you wouldn't mind, give a wave. Alex is our Director of Regional Community Integration and a really great partner with economic development and talent development work that the partnership's working on. So you know we were here not too long ago, but wanted to give a little more data and share that with you. We have a lot of slides. We won't go through all of them, but feel free to ask questions. More than anything, our two messages tonight. First is a message of thanks. You all are investing a lot of time and demonstrating continued commitment to the region in not only your roles here, but other roles and hats that you're wearing in the community, and I just want to say thank you. Working with several of you on many different topics, and just want to, again, just underscore how much we appreciate you and the work that you're doing to drive Urbandale forward. And Urbandale being successful helps the region be successful, so thank you for that. And thanks, Mayor, for your continued support and regional collaboration. It's really been extremely helpful for quite some time, and especially this last year, so thank you.
Thank you.
We also wanted to underscore some of the stats related to economic development and talent development, which we are able to do in part because of your support and partnership, which we are greatly appreciative of. We are focused on economic development, talent development with public policy as a supporting strategy. And I'm going to turn it over to Stacy, who's going to walk through some of those specific ECDEV stats that we have to share with you tonight.
And we're going to go, some of these stats you've already heard, so we're going to go through this really quickly. But just to highlight what the partnership has done over the past, since we were formed in 1999, we have worked with projects, 759 projects that created 37,000 jobs and it created an investment of $14.7 billion in the region. And these are, you've seen this slide before, so we're going to go past it, but these are the projects we worked with in '24. So economic development, when we talk about it, we really are focused in our department on helping local businesses grow and expand in our region, as well as attracting new businesses to come and join our community and do business here. From the business retention and expansion, our local companies, the work we do, it's so important because 80% of growth of a community comes from those local businesses. So we do this multi-pronged. We work with Urbandale city staff here in Urbandale, as well as our partners across the region, to do what we call BRE surveys. It's just meetings with companies and to ask common questions so we can identify trends that are happening in our region and identifying any issues that we may need to be addressing. We always do 150 of those surveys. This year we did 195. In addition to this, we have other meetings with companies just to learn what's happening in their business and how can we best support them and make sure that they have a contact should they need support, should they be growing, that they understand what resources are available to help them do so. And just from here, I'll let you look at this later, but this is the 2024 key findings that we received out of our BRE reports. When we talk about business recruitment and attracting companies to the area, it's really important to highlight our team is out marketing the region across the nation and internationally throughout the year. We do some of our marketing in conjunction with the Iowa Economic Development Authority, but a lot of the marketing we are doing is on our own, and I'll show you some of those trips here coming up. We focus on 6 key targeted industries. You can see them here. These are our core businesses that we see here in the Des Moines region. We do have other companies that we work with, but these are the ones that we target most often because it's a great match for us. And it's also important to highlight that there are only about 100 to 200 major economic development projects across the nation in any given year, and there are more than 10,000 economic development organizations trying to land those 100 to 200 projects. So it's very competitive out there, and when we say major economic development projects in today's numbers, we're looking at $100 million or more. For our lead generation, this slide just shows that about 87% of our leads are generated locally. We get about 13% of our leads from the state of Iowa, and that is a consistent trend that we see we've seen over the past 10 years. These are the list of the trips that we do every year. We did 23 recruitment trips this past year. 7 of those were actually metro recruitment trips where we are going in and having face-to-face meetings in a metropolitan area with companies and with site selectors. The others are trade shows or conferences where we set up meetings in advance and are talking with companies, telling them how great the Des Moines region is. This year, our leads came from 13 different states and 6 different countries. And you know, we regularly are asked, what trends are we seeing in the economic development area? So we kind of highlighted 6 sectors of our economy for you. In the industrial sector, it really remains a focus on supply chain resiliency, manufacturing onshoring, and e-commerce. Some of the key industries that we are looking at our region right now are ag machinery components, food processing, and chemical manufacturing. And one other trend that we have seen over the past several months is people needing outside storage because of the types of operation they're doing. If they're doing ag machinery components, a lot of times they are large, and they're needing some outside storage. From an office perspective, we are seeing a move to Class A office space, leaving Class B and Class C behind, with the need to repurpose or redevelop those sites. And we are definitely looking at office as opportunities that we have here in the region. Data centers are hot. They will be hot for many years. With AI coming on, they just are growing. They cannot find enough electricity and enough sites. So electricity totally decides where they are going to locate. Housing, it is still a buyer's market. Demand still exceeds supply, and that is not expected to let up. And on retail, we are seeing, as you would understand, redevelopment around malls that are older and need repurposing. Sports facilities are still hot, as well as experiential retail. So not just retail stores, but where can you have an experience before you buy the products? So what does all this mean? What does the partnership work? Why is it important to Urbandale? So these statistics on this page really highlight that Greater Des Moines is a regional economy. If you look at the stats, and I have to go from my glasses, in Urbandale, only of your residents who are employed, only 12.5% of them actually live in Urbandale, or they work in Urbandale. They live in Urbandale, and then they work in Urbandale. That means 87% of your residents are driving outside Urbandale to work. Conversely, of the people who actually work in Urbandale, only 10% live in Urbandale. So you have 97% of your workforce driving into the community to work every day. And the other part of this slide, and that was all in the red portion, the other part of this slide, we just chose 8 projects that the partnership has worked on over the past several years. And you have 2,100 residents who are actually working at these locations. We use Placer AI to identify where people are going to work. And the one last statistics that we found very valuable as we talk about the return to work in office, Owl Labs 2023 State of the Work report found that 66% of the people who are back to work are spending an average of $51 a day to work in the office. So Tiffany.
Thank you. So we just wanted to highlight and certainly thank Mayor and Council, but also wanted to lift up and thank the staff. Our team works really closely with Curtis, with Aaron, with Ebony. You have a phenomenal team, and I think you know that already, but I want you to know our team feels that too and feels we have a great partnership with your team. We also want to lift up and thank the great chamber that you have in Urbandale. Tiffany Menke and Gina Wright are fantastic partners. They're actively engaged and involved in the partnership. Gina's even here tonight. This is part of that momentum that we have because we have these strong partnerships and you have really great people working on this. So really quickly, if it's okay, I'll fly through some talent updates for you. And again, feel free to ask questions, but I know we have limited time here. Yeah, do you want to just, there we go. Okay, so as Stacy mentioned, not only are we out there marketing the region for economic development, we're also marketing for talent. So we are targeting individuals that would have the propensity to move to our community or a region like ours and asking them, inviting them to come to our community. And we have a whole talent funnel that we have laid out here on this slide, so you can see that how we're following those prospective talent through the funnel, drawing them in closer and closer until finally, hopefully, they decide to move here. And then from that, as they are new residents, we have welcome to DSM receptions with them to help welcome them in. We've also heard, because we did a study, we understood that some of the talent that are thinking about leaving or have left, the reasons why, and a big reason why is that they wanted to feel more connected to the community. So we've built out a program that we just launched late in 2024 and just really growing momentum, and it's called the DSM MVP program. So we would love to have some more Urbandale residents and support on this. It's essentially to help match those new talent or prospective talent with individuals that have maybe similar hobbies or have an interest in other things in the community, philanthropy, volunteerism, you name it, to help them get them truly engaged in the community and feel as though they are a part of it, because we all know how important it is to have everybody working together. Just real quick, again, thank you for your support and involvement on our DMDC trip and all of our legislative work, including our state policy agenda and GPC. And again, a shout out to the Chamber, Urbandale Chamber, who does a phenomenal job. And small business support continues to be very important. Small business is really a key piece not only of our local economy, but it's also placemaking and quality of life. So we've built out a number of programs to support our affiliates, but also support these small businesses as they're growing, because we know these are our neighbors and we want them to be successful. So we have our Scale DSM program, our Spark DSM, and of course, Entrepreneur Days and more. We have a number of stats on our website. You're welcome to look through any of these. We, of course, are the cheerleaders of the region, lifting up and celebrating a lot of those great stats, knowing that there's always more work to do. And additionally, that continued population growth, specifically of our region, has been continued to climb, and we've been outpacing our Midwest peers for decades. We have a number of events and activations. We work with your team on some of our regional activations, and we know that you've been very supportive of some of our other events throughout the region. Storytelling continues to be important too. We have a team that works on national media pitches, and we have some really exciting pitches to do this year, and want to, of course, work closely with your team on those as well. But we know that nobody's going to tell the story for us, so it's important for us to collaborate with Urbandale and all of our partners to tell and lift up your stories and get more people aware of the great things that are happening here in your community and in our region overall. And so with that, I'll just leave you with this slide, which just gives a snapshot of some of the support that the partnership provides to Urbandale through our collective partnership. And again, just want to say thank you so much for your continued support and all of your engagement and involvement. We very much appreciate the relationships that we have with you all and your staffs, and we're happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, guys. We're going to hear a lot more this Thursday night, even with some big music too, right? We're going to
got
the
it.
annual dinner, so we're looking forward to a lot of us attending the annual dinner as well. So, any questions from council or comments?
I guess it's just more of a comment. I know we're experiencing a lot of turmoil, for lack of a better word, in our regional partnerships. And I just, as the DART representative, I appreciate your participation with our Reimagined DART cabinet. And it's really, Urbandale's a strong believer in regional cooperation. And I think there's a lot that the partnership can help to do to help strengthen that. So we are, and I think I'm not speaking out of turn, but we are, ready to participate in what needs to be done. But it's, it's the external environment is a little rough right now. So.
Well, just to what Tiffany was saying though, but as far as the meeting and further to that point though, Tiffany was there at the Capitol meeting with the Metro Advisory Council and some legislators. So it was always good to have that voice to advocate for that very point of view at the Capitol today. So I appreciated Tiffany being there to do that. So.
Thank you, and thank you very much. I am honored to serve on the DART Reimagine Council, very much committed to doing what we can to continue to support you, working with Amy, wearing a different hat on the homelessness strategic plan too. We know that we have an opportunity to really continue to chart our path forward, and we want to do that as a region, and we know Urbandale has a history of being that kind of leader as well, so thank you for that.
And I guess one other thing is I think that, economic development is what you do transit is an integral part of economic development that we need to keep telling that story.
We agree.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks to you, Alex, as well.
Yes.
You're backing it back now? And Gina, too, with Gina, thank you. All right, we'll move on. Item 4, Citizens Forum. This is the opportunity to address the council on something not a part of tonight's regular agenda. Would anyone like to address the council this time? Channing, it's the Channing Dutton hour. Or a minute, at least, maybe. No, the Channing Dutton minute.
Hello to all my friends. Welcome, Councilmember Cacciatore. For the past year, I've been speaking to the City Council about an issue that I think dominates every decision that all of us make in our personal, professional, and public life, and that is the effects of climate change. I've been here on nights after a tornado came right over the City Hall. I've been here during storms. I've been here during the heat. Now tonight I'm here during the cold, but the message doesn't change by the weather on a particular day. What I want to talk about today is Iowa is still on the brink of a breakout drought. And if you go to the drought monitor, you will see the pressure that the state, and sooner or later this means Urbandale, is under just from the changed weather pattern and distribution of moisture in the state. Today, 4 inches of snow fell in Houston. A week ago, Atlanta was shut down by ice. The inauguration was moved indoors by cold weather, and yet we are chillingly absent of snow, and we're chillingly absent of water. But the topic I want to talk to you tonight about is affordable housing. And I know that this has been a topic that you've all been thinking about, but the numbers of what is going on with first-time homeowners is shocking. Since between the years 2020 and 2023, the average homeowner has paid more than 1/3 increase in the cost of their insurance for their home. And in many regions of the country, those that are hardest hit, it's 50%. Now, we've just had a catastrophic multi-billion-dollar event take place in Los Angeles. But before that, it took place in Asheville, North Carolina. And before that, it was in the hurricane zones. And that puts pressure on Iowa. And then we contribute ourselves with our own storms and with our own wind damage. So tonight, item 6.3 is your budget. It's the money for the coming year. And climate change is going to pressure that budget every single year. We're never going to get away from it. So be wise in the decisions you make and hold back a penny or two for the stormy days ahead. Thanks very much. Keep up the good work.
All right, thank you, Channing. Is there anyone else like to address the council on something that's not a part of tonight's agenda? All right, we will move on then. Item 5, the adoption of the minutes. First, item 5.1, that's from the January 4 special meeting.
Move approval of City Council special meeting minutes from January 4th.
Second.
Montgomery, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. Yep, that passes. All right, thank you. Secondly, item 5.2, the January 7 meeting.
So move approval?
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And finally, item 5.3, the January 14 lunch and learn.
Move approval?
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Moving on to the consent agenda, we had 24 items for approval under the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote.
Next bill is to that, or is that gonna be a separate item? There's only 3.
Bill, it got amended, I think. Bill has got, it's got amended to add the,
It was listed.
yeah, it
on
was
there,
listed, it just
the
wasn't,
attachment that
it just wasn't attached.
Sounds good.
And that passes. Thank you. Moving on to public hearings. We have two public hearings. First is item 7.1, and that's a public hearing to consider the 2025, 2030 capital improvements program. This public notice was published in the January 10, 2025 Des Moines Register, and ask for any objections to that notice is published.
There were none.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So move.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. Sorry, am I supposed to pass these down? And that passes. And Nikki, are you gonna start, or Bridget, did you want to make any opening comments?
I did, if that's okay.
Sure.
The CIP committee, which I chaired and was assisted by Councilmember Bodie, met on December 2nd to review the CIP with staff. Always a very thorough review of the document, which we all greatly appreciate. And we held a public hearing on December 16th. And I wanted to thank all of the members of the committee, which are listed in your document, for their commitment of time inside and outside the meeting to have a very lively discussion of the document. And also, I think we have probably one of the best programs and processes in the state related to our capital improvements program. And so I want to thank our staff from the city manager's office, and then especially the finance department, Nikki Lamb, Addison Ribkes, and Vivian Luna, as well as everyone else that contributed to the document. But like I said, it is a top-notch process and document that I think we should be very proud of. We had significant discussion, as we do most years, related to stormwater management and stream bank stabilization, but did not make any changes related to that. But as Channing discussed, changes coming, changes happening, so I think we are doing, keeping an eye on that. And so the committee unanimously approved the document that is before us today, and I thank you for allowing Pat and I to continue to serve as the council representatives on that committee. So that's what I have, but thanks to everyone that helped out.
All right.
And I'd be happy to answer questions as we get into the discussion.
All right, thank you, Bridget.
The only thing I was going to add is to give the handout that we added. Part of the conversation was surrounding the stormwater, and specifically, what are we funding through that versus what are we funding through the actual stormwater fund. So we had staff pull that together so that we had this visual. This will be a new addition to the document up in the front schedule. So this will be Exhibit D, I guess. So what we did is just pull out, if you can reflect on the document in the top section, we have always broken out the piece that's related to design, acquisition, construction, and stormwater. But the funding sources don't always match up with that. So we wanted to go through and pull out the totals that are allocated to every project. So for example, a street project may have a portion of it that is related to the stormwater issue, and there's a cost associated with that, but we're not necessarily funding it with that. So I feel like there was some value in being able to show where we actually are on that. So the top section is all of the stormwater projects listed in the stormwater section, not all of which are completely funded with stormwater utility, but and then in the street section, very few of those are actually funded with the stormwater utility fund specifically, but there is a component of those projects. So it's just to show the total dollars being spent in the stormwater arena, and then those that are actually being funded with the current amount of funding that we have, and then the subtotal of how much is being funded by other sources today. So we just thought that would be helpful to be able to accumulate that, since nowhere else in the document we all focus on what we're spending of the stormwater revenue, but not of the total construction dollars. So we staff pulled that together so that we added that value, I think, and being able to compare where we're really standing for how fast we're moving. Does that make sense?
And that'll get included in the process next year as well?
Yeah, so
Okay.
this will now become part of our standard package.
I think that will be very well received by the committee.
Yes, that's
That's
definitely
great.
that tone is, we wanted to be able to really pull that together, but there was no actual totals in the front for the pieces that are part of it, but not funded. So that will be important as we go through the budget process of actually setting, this is the need that we currently have scheduled for stormwater projects that are not yet funded through the revenue that's being charged. So that was my main ad. The committee went through all of the detail. We've provided all this, and then the next steps from review tonight, if this is approved, then this is what I use to build the budget that we will go through on February 8th. Builds the debt service and all of the bonding issues that we have.
Right.
Do you have any questions for me before we do the public hearing?
Questions for Nikki from the council?
Okay.
All right, thank you, Nikki. We are in public hearing. This is your opportunity to address the council on this. And I know, Tom, I know you wanted to, so I'll, okay, whoever's first, whoever wants to do it. Tom, you gonna do it first? You can come up and just give your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Honorable City Council, friends of Urbandale, in here and out there. I'm Tom Small. My wife Linda and I live on 4733 76th Street in Urbandale. That's 2 blocks north of Meredith. I have a handout that I have passed around and will be reading from it. But I am in favor of your Complete Streets project for Urbandale along Aurora and 70th. So, in my opinion, safety is the key word for me on the Complete Streets project. Linda and I enjoy many activities in the Urbandale Senior Recreation Center, and we have 2 grandsons who go to school, high school and middle school on Aurora. This design has been in the planning stages for some time now to calm down traffic and reduce speeding. Imagine a reduction in accidents by 19 to 47%, which I like this because you and I are less likely to get rear-ended by a speeding, distracted maniac behind us, or me driving like an idiot and hitting the car in front of me causing damage, or heaven forbid, an injury. Or imagine a reduction of some 20 to 40% of the chances of you and me getting a speeding ticket in a 4-lane speedway. So, this is interesting to me, from 2017 to 2022, in those 5 years, there have been at least 42 total crashes, and sadly, 1 fatality. So, the fatality was a pedestrian. I can't imagine the grief that family and friends have experienced from that accident. So perhaps now some good will come from their pain and for this chance for us to improve safety. Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Is there anyone else like to address the council? Well, yeah, recognize Linda first. Okay.
My name's Betty Salmon, and I live at 9106 Greenbelt Drive in Urbandale, and I've lived in Urbandale for 40 years, 3 different homes in Urbandale. I have 2 children that went through Urbandale schools and 4 grandchildren that have gone or are still going through Urbandale schools. So they're on Aurora Avenue too, and I'm also here to talk about the Complete Streets program, in favor of that Complete Streets program. You know, I love the trails. I live on the trails. I walk on them almost every day. I don't ride bikes so much anymore, but I used to ride bikes on them. But, you know, the trails are for recreation, and you might be able to do a tiny bit of commuting, but not serious commuting on the trails. They don't go to where we need to go. And I know that when we talk about the Complete Streets program, what we have in store, we're talking about 2 streets that are busy. We're talking about Aurora that goes in front of the schools. We're talking about 70th Street that intersects that one. And I know that's a big change. Like I said, I've been here 40 years, and I know that those streets have been there before I got here. So it's a big change, and change can be scary. But what I do know is that most of what we're scared of really doesn't happen, and I'd like us to keep that in mind. I know that in other communities where they've done this kind of thing, at first the people who drive those streets are very skeptical, and they may be skeptical before it ever gets done. They're not comfortable with it at first, but after that initial fear goes down, I think they eventually come to appreciate what's been done in their community and to see what the pluses are of having these streets marked that way. I kind of compare this to me doing new things like getting a new phone. I hate that. I have to learn new things on it, or getting a roundabout in the community or the place where I like to drive. I don't like those either, but I can definitely see the pluses of them now. And or those yellow flashing lights, those left turn yellow flashing lights when they first came out. I didn't like those, but I definitely see the pluses of those too. So what I'm asking is for us to give this a chance. Let's make these streets welcoming corridors for the commuters that are on bikes that use these streets. And these are people that are trying to find healthy ways to get to work and to their appointments. So thank you for this chance to talk to you.
Thank you, Betty. Yes, sir.
Good evening, and thank you to the City Council for hosting this meeting and allowing citizens to offer their input regarding the 2025-2030 Capital Improvements Program. My name is Larry Loss, and I'd like to take a few moments to let you know who I am and what led me to tonight's meeting. I have multiple connections to tonight's discussion.
Larry, if I could just stop, is the microphone on? Because it doesn't sound like you're, or you can pull a little quote. There you go. Thank you.
Is this better?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay. For the record, my address is 16898 Tanglewood Drive in Clive. I am a former Urbandale resident, and I just happened to move a couple of blocks too far west and ended up in Clive. But while I was an Urbandale resident, my son attended Urbandale Middle School, Urbandale High School. I'm very familiar with the area that is being discussed in the Complete Streets project. 2.5 years ago, I was involved in a cycling accident involving a car and was seriously injured while crossing through an intersection in Urbandale. My injuries required me to undergo 2 surgeries. I spent 17 days in the hospital, and I was off work for 2 months. So I have a personal and unique perspective to safety as it applies to using the public roadways. And believe me, no one wants to go through what I did as a result of that accident. My accident led me to begin advocating for bicycle safety issues at the Iowa legislature, and ultimately I joined the board of the Iowa Bicycle Coalition. The Iowa Bicycle Coalition advocates for cycling safety issues across the state and is actively communicating with over 400 Urbandale residents about cycling issues. I am here tonight representing the Iowa Bicycle Coalition, also known as the IBC. The IBC believes that the Urbandale Complete Streets project is about safety for all users of Urbandale streets. The addition of bike lanes in the community is about enhancing safety for cyclists and drivers alike. Well-defined areas for autos and bicycles on shared roadways lead to clear and predictable environments for all users. Everyone, drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians, all know where they're supposed to be and where to look for others as well. Studies across the country show that cyclists will use safe, defined bike lanes when they are available, and cyclists will also go out of their way to use the safe lanes, thus reducing bicycle traffic on other streets. As a person who has used bicycles to commute to work, I appreciate the system of safe trails that Urbandale currently has in place. Enhancing Urbandale's bike trails with clearly defined bike paths on shared roadways, as defined in the Complete Streets project, will give Urbandale residents additional safe recreation opportunities to explore the city and pathways to commute to school and work. I think it's also worth noting that this Complete Streets project isn't a construction project that tears out and rebuilds streets. Rather, it's a painting project to designate specific areas for bicycle usage. If after implementation, the City Council wants to undo the changes, the fix is relatively and easily reversible by repainting the street. The IBC appreciates the efforts of the Capital Improvement Program Committee to recommend the Complete Streets project and stands in support of this initiative. Thanks for the opportunity to address the council tonight.
All right, thank you, Larry. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council? You stood, well, I'll recognize you first. Yeah, that's fine.
My name is Mike Borland. I live at 4465 91st Street. I've lived there since 1990. I'm here to talk about the complete streets and specifically the Aurora bike lane and 70th Street. I did commute along that area for, well, not every day, but for years. And that is, I think, to have just the painted lanes, kind of, as Larry mentioned, defining the spaces for all the users is a big step forward. I also, you know, obviously if I rode to work, I ride a lot for pleasure too, and a lot of the people that I ride with, we ride as a group and we go to some place, and we don't use streets that don't have lanes to get there. I guess the point of this is as the partnership said, people going back to work spend $51 a day. The Iowa Bike Coalition, which I'm also a member of, has an economic impact survey that's going to be released in the next few days. And cyclists, when they go from point A to point B, at one end or the other, or in the middle, are going to spend some money as well. And this is a corridor that has destinations along the way. Also is a good east to west or west to east path. We heard from the partnership that 90% of the people that work in Urbandale come into Urbandale, so they might commute along there on their bicycles, or the 87% that leave Urbandale daily to go to work. Some of the other things that I saw in the complete streets are also favorable. I live right near Meredith, so the resurfacing and the 10-foot path along there is another step in that, connecting all the different trails and systems. And I guess just put me down as another person in favor of the complete streets, and specifically the bike lanes along Aurora and 70th Street.
All right, thank you. Sir, you want?
Hello, my name is Jason Cook. I live at 9100 Beechwood Drive, and you may be surprised that I'm also here to talk about the complete streets as well. So I'm here to talk about specifically the Aurora Avenue project. With the many talks the city and people affiliated with this project have had, they've stated many times that reducing Aurora from 4 lanes to 2 lanes would increase safety. But the studies that I've referenced do not take into account the unique situation this street is on. The street houses 2 schools, and which makes up 1/2 the Urbandale Community School District. So half the students in this district are on the street. One of the benefits noted is reducing speed will reduce accidents. However, the speed limit will remain unchanged. People aren't going to start driving the speed limit because we take away 2 lanes. All you have to do is look at when Douglas was temporarily changed from 4 lanes to 2 lanes between 86th and 75th Street for construction. Even with a heavily reduced posted speed limit, people were still driving 45 miles an hour. Reducing these lanes will actually see an increase in accidents, not a decrease. The turning lanes are not long enough to hold traffic waiting to get in the drop-off and pickup lanes, and will block traffic that is looking to pass through. Because traffic will back up more, drivers will become more frustrated and aggressive due to lost time. This street will also have our newest drivers from the high school itself. The number of bikers will not significantly increase with this change, and it'll only increase the frustration of the drivers using the streets today. By reducing Aurora from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, it'll actually make the lives of Urbandale residents worse, not better. Please reconsider making this change, and perhaps a better solution would be to the continued use of sharrows and signs like we've seen throughout the city today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone else? I don't believe there's anybody else available to speak. Is there anyone else who'd like to address this on this item? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to close then the public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
Motion by Carly Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Is there a motion on that?
Motion to approve Council Letter 8044.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Bodie. Any further discussion? If not, please vote.
I just want to say that I think, I appreciate everybody commenting tonight, and this is just the funding for it, and so then we can continue to have conversations later too.
Yeah, oh, thank you, you stole my thunder.
I want to thank everybody who's shown up for all the conversations around this. It's been meaningful and appreciated. And I think will make a difference in how things move forward.
Mhm.
So thanks, everybody.
Everybody voted?
Did you vote for Pat?
All right, that passes. Again, I want to echo, first of all, I want to thank Bridget and Pat and the rest of the committee for serving and ushering this through. So it's not an insignificant task, so thank you for doing that again. And as Blake and Pat have said, as far as the comments, thank you for everybody. I know there's certainly not unanimity of opinion on some things in there, but again, this is a planning document, and we'll move forward with the plan. This provides staff with the planning, and we'll certainly talk specific projects in further detail as we get toward there. So, but it's a lot of heavy lifting to get to this point, so thank you again, everybody, for what you've done. All right, we'll move on to item 7.2, and that's a public hearing to consider the development agreement with the Hubble Realty Company. The public notice for this was published also in the January 10, 2025 Des Moines Register. Ask any objections to that notice is published.
There were none.
Is there a motion to open this public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes, and the staff is requesting that we continue this to the next regular meeting. Before I do that, since the public hearing is open, I just want to confirm, is there anyone here that would like to address the council on this tonight? Seeing none, then is there a motion to continue this to the next meeting?
So moved.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote.
I'm not seeing it. It's not popping up.
Apologize. May I take a voice vote for this one?
Again? I vote yes.
Thank you.
Birthday girl votes. That passes. All right, moving on to establish public hearings. First is item 8.1 to establish a public hearing for the 2025 trail improvements. John Larson would answer any questions on these first two items, by the way. Is there, if not, ask for a motion.
Motion to approve Resolution 22-2025.
Okay, motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.2 is establish public hearing for 10841 Douglas Avenue with asbestos removal and demolition.
So move.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.3 is to establish a public hearing for the Lions Park Improvements Phase 3 Playground. Jan, answer any questions if there are on this?
Move approval of Resolution 21-2025.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Moving on to regular agenda items. First is item 9.1. That's to consider ordinance 2025-04. And to present this is Chief Johansson. Chief?
Mayor and members of council, before you tonight, it's a amendment to an ordinance to add some regulations for the public consumption of alcoholic beverages. I think it's pretty clear what the ordinance is trying to do, but I would take any questions if you have any. Basically, we've run into a situation over the last several years where We have this, basically BYOB establishments where they forego a liquor license and start running a bring your own beer establishment where the public can bring in alcoholic beverages into an establishment, and then we have no way to check on them, enforce any rules of alcohol. It really is a way to skirt the state law requiring a liquor license, in my opinion. So this gives us a little bit of help in regulating that. And as you can see, there are some exceptions to public consumption that we've noted there, including, hotel, residence, public parks, that's still allowed. So we think we've covered everything that possibly could interfere with that. But again, what we're really trying to regulate is these BYOB establishments that we've had some issues with over the last several years.
The only question I had about it was, and don't get the wrong impression of our neighborhood, but we might have a gathering and you're going from house to going from one house to the other. You're out on a public sidewalk, beer in hand. I mean, it can happen. Is that an issue for this, or are there any unintended consequences that we're not thinking about? That's just really generally my question.
Well, if you walk across the street, that was already illegal anyway, so.
We only live on one side of the street. I'm good there.
But it would apply to the sidewalks. Public consumption is not allowed on the sidewalks, so
Okay.
that would.
All right.
So stay in somebody's yard.
Right.
I'm telling you.
So this only adds basically places of business that aren't already covered.
Correct.
That's really basically the only addition.
If you'll see, if you hold a valid liquor license, this does not apply to you.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I apologize, I probably should have asked these in advance, but I just have a couple of questions. A hotel or motel, does that need, are you referring to like a room within a hotel or motel? Or what if there's a family reunion in the?
No, it would apply, at least my interpretation of that would apply to anywhere in the hotel or motel.
And that we're okay?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm just wondering if, because we don't have like an officially sanctioned farmer's market yet, if farmer's market is defined anywhere in our code, or if we need to clarify what we're referring to, maybe in, I think we know, but there's nothing, I think, official about what that really means.
BYOB puts out a basket of oranges. Is that gonna, undermine the thing? Right.
I'll leave that to Maria to decide, but we threw farmer's market in there kind of as we were just discussing, is there anything else we're not thinking of?
I think it's a good thing to put on the list of exclusions, and maybe it means that Jan needs to start a farmer's market this spring. But maybe we need to think a little bit about what that means, since we don't have one yet. But yeah, we could just throw out a few fruits and vegetables. You could just carry some zucchini with you down the block, right?
Oh, I'm getting into trouble back home. Okay.
That was all I
Maria,
had.
what's your thoughts on that? Do we need to add a definition of farmer's market?
Yeah, I would suggest either we add a definition or it be removed from the list of exemptions at this time. That way there's no confusion.
Well,
As we don't have one, probably maybe the easier thing to do is remove it, and then if we ever go down that path where we want to add farmers markets, we can make the amendment at that time to add it.
Or they could be in the public park.
or, we could either remove it or, this is the first reading of the ordinance. We could probably come up with a definition by.
Absolutely, I can do either one, whatever the council
pleasure
prefers.
is, so.
If the city's anticipating having some hosted farmers markets, I think it would be a good idea. You want to add that definition. It's always a definition that you can adjust later on too. So if the council wishes, we can do that. Most of the ordinances we looked at that were comparable to this one were in communities that already had established farmers markets. So that's why you see that exemption available.
Well, I would like to be aspirational
Yeah.
So why don't we keep it in for now then? Is that
And,
so?
well, I
Come up with
think
a
if
definition?
you can come up with a definition to include here or somewhere else, I think that would be
Yeah, I'll-
appropriate.
Yep, I'll work with Maria to figure out whether we need to add that definition here or in another part of the code, and we'll keep moving it forward.
Great, thank you.
And can we have the second reading be part of the regular agenda then too, so we can have
Yeah.
have it as part of discussion too?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I've got a question. The proposed ordinance indicates that a violation shall be a municipal infraction. Does that mean there is some kind of penalty, or is that just a means for the department, to clear out people who are engaging in this behavior?
No, there would be a fine associated with it if the officer so choose to write one.
Got it.
All right. Any other questions, comments? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2025-04.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, thank you. Item 9.2 is consider the fire therapy program for the canines and the canine surrender agreement. And to present this is our Assistant Chief Bingham again. So, Chief.
Mayor and council, this last fall, we had what we termed as a behavioral issue with Blitz, our canine. He was actually returned to Crisis Canines at that time for a reevaluation, to which he then passed, had no issues there. He was then returned to the master trainer, and they attempted to exhibit the same behavior with him during that time, and they were unable to do so. So then he was returned with his handler, and they continued training, doing that stuff during that time. He returned to the station, had no issues or anything like that back in the station with us during the time he was back. And then during a training event with Crisis Canines, he exhibited some behavior things that was noted. So they kind of watched him and the handler, and it became apparent there was some behavioral issues with the dog, as well as incompatibility with the handler as far as the corrections and things of that nature. So due to that, Crisis Canines gave us the recommendation to remove the dog from service. So since then, he has been removed from service and returned to Crisis Canines at this time. The hope is that during this time, we can look at a solution for the future of the program with Crisis Canines and the fire department, and what that looks like long term. So that's kind of where we're at now. So I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
All right. Thanks, Chief. Any questions?
So what does the return of a canine look like? Is that like, are they placing them like up for adoption through like a normal process, or is that like,
No.
they try and retrain, or what does that look
Nope.
like?
So when he was returned, they did talk about possibly putting him back in the system to see if how he would do with another handler. But after returning him, they decided that that was not going to be the case, simply because of more likely his breed, his energy, things of that nature. And so their plan is to make him a pet. And so they have plenty of people lined up to take him because he is a champion bloodline dog, and so they are going to place him as a pet. So that's kind of where that's at. Once we in our SOG, as well as with the city and everything else, once we turn him back over to Crisis Canines, then it is Crisis Canines' choice to do what they do with the dog. So, and as of last week, when I spoke to them last, prior to getting this stuff squared away, was they're going to make him a pet. So,
thank you.
Yep.
Just one more question. Out of curiosity, how do we transport a dog when it's returned? Like, what does that look like? Do they come here? Do they,
Nope. So our the handler that had him for years, actually returned him back to Crisis Canines in his vehicle that he always did, coming to and from work when he would bring him to work and all that stuff. So
and are they local?
they are Colfax
Oh,
is where
okay.
Crisis Canines is
Okay.
located, and then I believe they're one of their primary trainers is in the Swan, Pleasantville,
Local.
Hartford area.
Yeah, okay,
So.
thanks.
Well, I hope to see us pursue this program in the future as money and everything allows. I think therapy dogs have a lot to offer, especially in the work that you do.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
I'd like to move Resolution 020-2025.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Carver and Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. And that passes, thank you. That's the end of our regular agenda, so mayor and council items, Amy?
We had a productive MAC meeting this morning that I will let Bob speak of. That's your reminder.
Yeah, thank you.
But otherwise, nothing else to add at this time.
Joe?
Yes, I had mentioned to the mayor, maybe one or two others, that I had been doing some research that involved the Urbandale Municipal Code and stumbled upon several references to the Iowa Code and the Iowa Rules of Civil Procedure that are outdated. And so I just thought I'd mention that it's probably time for an update and a cleanup. There are at least, well, there are several sections. If you're curious, you can just look at Chapter 11, 11.03, 11.05. And also, Section 99 has several sections that refer to the 1999 Iowa Code. One of the sections refers to rules of civil procedure that use a numbering system that was stopped being used about, I don't know, 15 years ago, I think. So I just thought I'd mention that, and perhaps we can figure out a way to earn my keep. So.
Exactly.
So we will, yeah, I think you did get a copy of that, didn't you? Or, oh, okay.
I did not.
Okay, so I'll pass, I've got the email from Joe, so I'll pass that on, and maybe you didn't do a comprehensive review, Joe.
I did not. I found several sections, and I assume that.
Yeah, he did.
I assume there are many more. I mean, if you just glance through there, you see these old code section references.
He did that over the weekend as I was doing it too, Maria. I emailed
Weekend
Maria
reading.
about another issue I had over the weekend too, so a little late reading on the weekend.
Exactly.
Well, I think
All right,
Joe has like 3 years to catch up, right? So
Something like
we're
that.
gonna jam that all into.
But we'll take a look at that, and I'm sure Nicole can help too, so. Blake?
Just a few things here. Really appreciated the lunch and learn that we had, was it last week? And thank you for reviewing the rain barrel reimbursement rate. I think that's a good opportunity to keep people kind of interested in the plan and help offset some of that cost. Did want to call out Officer Stone. I heard from a resident last week that they had an interaction with her regarding a complaint that of an ongoing issue, and apparently she was extremely professional, worked very quickly to address the issue that was at play, and extremely high marks were given. So just wanted to call that out and really appreciate her service to the city. And then I have on my calendar that Bravo is meeting on March 12, and I will be in attendance.
All right. Thank you. Bridget?
Well,
First of all, do we sing happy birthday? It is Bridget's birthday tonight, so happy birthday to you. Birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bridget. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
More intimate setting.
Well, the mayor said I had to bring treats, so there's treats in the break room. So I didn't know that I was supposed to supply my own crown, but I left that at home.
I also said that she couldn't vote on her iPad, that she had to vote by saying, birthday girl votes aye every time, but she didn't do that either.
But I did bring treats, as Bob told me I needed to. Apparently,
The one
that
time
was
she
the one
listened to
time I
me.
listened, so lucky you all. So thank you all. It's one of those ends in zero birthdays, so it's big. Wanted to thank again the staff and the committee for another excellent CIP process. I've done this a lot of years, and every year it's smoother and easier, I think, on our end. It's probably not easy on the staff's end, but we kicked off Reimagine DART process, which will be a year-long process where we are looking under every rock to figure out how to make our system better and more agile and all the right things. There were 4 days of work sessions and meetings with our consultants, elected officials, Metro City staff members, and stakeholders. We were well represented by Curtis, and our incoming city manager was able to attend with both his hats on. So that will be coming back to us here with more information to all Metro Council members, not just DART representatives, likely in April, but there might be some communications with summaries from this round of meetings. So just be on the lookout for those. Next week is our annual organizational meeting where I will be nominated and likely elected as vice chair of the commission. And yeah, like I said, just be on the lookout for more information. Probably, I didn't get a chance to tell you this, Curtis, maybe a April Lunch and Learn presentation from DART. We also, one last thing, as part of my birthday celebration, I was able to go to Los Angeles this past weekend, end of last week, and while I was not personally impacted by any of the fire devastation, absolute devastation from the fires, people very close to me were impacted, and climate change is very real. And I know that is addressing climate change locally is what we must do, and I know that we are all around this table committed to doing that. I appreciate our regular reminders from our community members, but very, very significant impacts to one of our largest, most vibrant communities in our country and in the world, and will take years and years and billions of dollars to rebuild. So we just need to keep doing what we can on the very local level, because that's really what it takes is, incremental steps. And so I just felt like I would be remiss if I did not mention that, but it's a strange world out there. And, just to the firefighting profession, thank you for going into harm's way and fighting those fires. I know Urbandale wasn't there, but you're there when we have our crises, and it's a lot. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Bridget.
Well,
Happy
thanks-
birthday again.
Yes, and thank you for the birthday wishes.
And thanks for bringing that up. It's a terrible, terrible tragedy. And unfortunately, we'll keep seeing things if we don't do that local action. So we've got to keep at that. Related to that, Walnut Creek Watershed Management Authority had a meeting this afternoon. And I think Kristen's here, so she might be able to back me up if I'm saying something wrong. But they presented sort of a 5-year work plan. And the big goals are to hold water on the landscape, to preserve, expand, reconnect, and restore floodplains, to better understand and improve surface water quality. Regional collaboration and awareness is important in their goals. And then the 5th big goal is to sustain implementation through tracking and reporting. Kind of the good news piece, is that they mentioned that they believe there's a template that Polk County, I think Polk County Conservation may have used, that can maybe be done and applied in all of the different metro areas, but particularly I would think we might want to look at it for Urbandale, to look at stream restoration planning and natural resources management planning. We've already got a great project that Parks is doing with 3 key areas, but we got a lot of miles of floodplain that we could look at with, and they are acting as though they might support that for free. So Kristen can correct me if I misunderstood that, but I think that's something we're going to want to look into. And they do have some ambitious goals, and because of our share of the Walnut Creek watershed, we are at the top of the list in some places for work that we might need to accomplish. So more on that in the future. And that's it for me, except for a lot of thanks to staff for all the work they've done for both CIP, the development of that website piece where you can put in your address and find out what's happening. That's huge, that's big. And I really want to thank them for the efforts on looking at the Complete Streets project and helping everyone get a greater understanding of what's involved there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pat. I do have a few items. Thank you, Amy, for reminding me about the MAC one. We did have a very productive meeting at the Capitol actually today. 7:30 and 11 below zero when I walked into the Capitol building, but surprisingly there were a few people there, and we actually we had a good turnout from mayors and council in the area, and we actually had 3 legislators come. More than that, yeah. We had Representative Weldon from the Ankeny area, Representative Gustav from the Altoona area, and Senator Pike from the Des Moines area all showed up. All Republicans, so it was good to have the majority party there to listen to our concerns as well. So we did have some pretty good discussion, at least a chance to express some things. Obviously, there's nothing concrete on property tax yet, but we at least had a chance to just open that door a little bit and express some things to them, which was good. One thing that came up from Mayor Clark and Waukee that I wanted to just, first of all, just make sure we're okay in doing this. Amy and I have talked about it a little bit, is that Courtney suggested that we maybe have the cities get together to do some messaging sooner than later, some organized messaging, and Derek, you'd probably be recruited to do this from the Urbandale standpoint. So, or we may get some outside help too. So we may have an investment of certainly time from our comms folks, and maybe a little bit of money if we do some outside work too. So if everybody's okay with that, we're going to work on that messaging with other. So we have some consolidated, organized messaging from the metro area with our other communities. So
Do you mean messaging around the value of property taxes?
about what the value of the communities.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, Russ was careful to point out we need to be careful on how we message that, because we don't want to say high property taxes are good, lower. We need to say we provide a good value to our residents in the community. So, which is true. I mean, but that messaging has to be carefully crafted to say, essentially, we need to stand up for ourselves as far as what we do as communities. So, with that, we'll give the high sign that we want to be part of this and we want to take part of that. So.
Well, and I forgot to mention that I went to the Metro Waste Authority Legislative Forum, not a forum, reception this evening, and the conversation amongst a number of people from various cities who were there was very similar to that.
Yeah, yeah. So.
And interestingly enough, there is property tax articles in the Cityscape today.
Yeah.
So
quite a few of them.
Yeah. Okay. There are a few city-related bills passed, or not passed, but introduced already. Certainly, we working with the Metro Coalition. Curtis and I will get you out information on that. We'll have our first bi-weekly phone call with them next Monday, I believe. To go over things that have been introduced so far. We'll have a call on Friday with the League of Cities and the Legislative Committee there, so we'll certainly get those weekly updates from the League out to you so you're aware of any bills that are introduced. Just to highlight a couple of them, there's one on a property tax exemption credit for seniors that's been introduced. There's one for primary elections for city and school board elections again. There's some positive bills actually been filed so far on the creation of land redevelopment trusts and also some self-supported entertainment areas in cities. There's one I think I sent out regarding consumer fireworks sales that would expand the sales year-round.
I thought it was just for after the election.
That's when they could be lit.
Oh.
But it's also allowing sales year-round.
Did not read that close enough. Great.
Yeah, so anyway, those are, they're just been introduced, so, some of these haven't had committees hearings yet, but we'll certainly be tracking those and the other ones that get introduced in the coming.
Do you happen to know off of whatever list you're reading who the champion of that fireworks bill is?
I believe it's Representative Gustav. I do know it's Representative
Okay.
Gustav. Yes, he did introduce that one, so.
I mean, their champion had been defeated, and so I was wondering who's picking up the mantle of fireworks.
That was filed by Representative Gustav.
Do those usually go through state and local government, or is
Yeah.
that kind of cross border?
Yeah, state and local. So, we'll certainly, as I said, keep you updated on any of those bills, but and I'm up there obviously now a little bit more often, so I'm watching things a little more closely, and I think, both Larry and Matt are watching out for us too on some things, so. That's, then let's see, we have just other things. Again, Thursday night is the partnership dinner, and Saturday is the first talk with officials of the chamber, so, if you wanna come attend that or watch that virtually, I encourage you to do that. I think that's all I have. So, with that, we are at the end of agenda, we stand adjourned. So, thanks, everybody.
Birthday,